Hi, everyone. My name is Arlena Stabilo, and I'm part of the Davidson Institute team, and I'm your host for today. We're excited to be here with you this afternoon. Before we dive into the Davidson Summer Programs information session, I wanted to go over a few housekeeping points so you have an idea of what to expect in this session. So this session is intended to run for 60 minutes. This session will include a quick overview followed by a Q&A. This is in a Zoom meeting, so all participants can share their video and unmute themselves at any time. We do ask that everyone stay muted unless called upon. Please note that the chat feature in Zoom has been disabled. Please direct all of your questions to the Q&A feature of Zoom. We'll do our best to answer as many questions as we can in the time allotted. If you have any technical questions, please utilize the chat or unmute yourself. Please stay through to the end of the session. You will then be directed to our post-event survey to help us gather feedback on your experience. And now diving right into the session, I'm pleased to introduce you to Avery Harris, our co-manager of the Davidson Summer Programs. I'll hand the presentation over to you now, Avery.
Hi everyone, let me go ahead and share my screen so we can get started. Alrighty. So this is our Davidson Summer Programs information session, and we are so excited to have you all join with us today to learn more about our summer programs and all we have to offer coming up this coming summer. So we're going to start off with a couple polls to learn more about who's in attendance and make sure that we're catering all of our information to fit the needs of our group here today. So question one, some of you have already started to answer. My student has attended a residential overnight camp before. That could be a Davidson program, or it could be any other camp. It doesn't need to be an academic one. Maybe it's traditional. Any overnight summer camp program before. Looks like we got a majority leaning towards this might be their first overnight experience, which is totally fine. That is something we can definitely help families prepare for. And we often, especially with our younger age group, do see a lot of first-time campers in that age range. Alrighty. Our next poll, I can jump over to that. Looks like my screen is frozen. Let's see. Oh, there we go. All right. The age of my student for this summer will be, our programs are for 8 to 13-year-olds, and so trying to kind of gauge if we're looking more at our older group or our younger group for this presentation, maybe a mix of both. You can go ahead and throw that in. Remember, this is the age your student will be during the program dates. So if they turn 8 mid-program, then that counts as being 8 years old and they are eligible to attend. And same if they're turning 14 mid-program. If they're 13 at any point during the program, they're eligible to attend. So just let us know how old your camper might be during that time. We actually have a pretty even split. Looks like we're seeing most people as age eligible, which is great. Perfect. Alrighty, we'll head on to the next one. Alrighty, is your student currently enrolled as a Davidson Young Scholar? That is a requirement for our programs, and we'll talk more on that. It's okay if they're not yet. There's still time to enroll into our Young Scholar program, but just trying to get a gauge on who still needs to go through that process and who's already all prepared in that front. And it looks pretty good. It looks like most of you already have your students enrolled in our Young Scholars Program, which is great. Like I said, if you still need to do that part, you've got time, so don't worry too much. And then one more question. What are you most interested in learning more about during this presentation? Is it more our eligibility, the application process in general? Maybe you're looking for some more information on just the day-to-day, what that looks like, who do we employ with our programs? And if you have any other questions, you feel free to throw them into the Q&A. We will be doing a live Q&A at the end, as well as I have my co-manager responding to messages through the Q&A feature as well. And we will be talking about all of these topics in some detail. And then, of course, if any other questions pop up afterwards, we are always available to connect with, whether phone call or email. Looks like again we have a pretty good split, which is great because we're going to cover all of this. So let's go ahead and jump into that. Alrighty, so just to introduce our leadership team, I am Avery Baldwin. I am the co-manager of Davidson Summer Programs. Alongside me is Gabby Staples, my co-manager, and then we also have Scooby Meredith with us. He's our director of program operations. You'll see our faces all throughout the summer. We're the team behind the scenes working year-round to help plan these programs. And so if you are reaching out with any questions or emailing us, you're going to get responses from one of us. So please don't hesitate to reach out. We're always here to help. Alrighty, so to overview what we're going to discuss today, we'll start with some overview and eligibility, then we'll jump into our staff, who's employed with us, then we'll talk more about the day-to-day, our schedule and what student life looks like, our academic workshops and seminars, what does health and mental health and social emotional health look like at camp? We make sure we prioritize that. How do you get to camp? What does travel, check-in, check-out look like? And then how can you best prepare yourself and your camper for DSP? And then we'll jump into admissions so you can make sure you have all that information to get ready when our application opens in just a little while. So for our younger age group, those are our explorers ages 8 to 11, and we have two sessions. That's session 1 that runs June 14th through the 18th, or session 2, which runs June 21st through the 25th. Again, explorers is for ages 8 to 11 who are members of the Young Scholar Program. We are located in Reno, Nevada, on the UNR campus, and it runs 5 days, 4 nights. And for this age group, we focus on academic workshops. And we'll touch more on what that means in just a little bit. There's also daily field trips and social activities. And we just like to remind families that we ask that you pick either session 1 or session 2 so that we can ensure that we're providing opportunities for as many students as possible rather than having the same students double up both times. For our older kids, that's ages 11 to 13, they'll be eligible for our Discoverers program. That's sessions 3 and session 4. That runs July 5th through the 9th or July 12th through the 16th. Again, you must be a member of our Davidson Young Scholar program located on that UNR campus. Also 5 days and 4 nights. The biggest difference is that in this age group, you'll focus on academic seminars. And so they'll be diving deep into one exciting topic for the entirety of the program. And we'll discuss more about what that looks like and how they can choose which program is going to fit their interest the best, as well as field trips and social activities. And then again, for this age group, we are asking that you pick either session 3 or session 4 to ensure that we're serving as many people as possible. So eligibility, what does that look like? I know we've mentioned it a few times. You do need to be a member of our Davidson Young Scholar program, and so if you have any questions about applying to that, please feel free to reach out to our applications team. They'll be able to get all your testing information and everything all squared away for that. And I do suggest doing that in a timely manner. Like I said, we do have a couple months until that needs to be submitted. However, our application, the sooner that you can get that in, the better it's going to work out. You do need to be ages 8 to 13 during program dates. So like I mentioned earlier, if your child is turning 8 years old in the middle of the program, that counts as eligible. You might just need to reach out to us and have that conversation to determine that it's going to be in their best interest since they are on the younger age. However, as far as ages go, they are all set there. And then again, on the older end, if they're turning 14 mid-program, which means at some point during that program they were 13, they are still age eligible and they are welcome to attend. You'll also maybe notice that our programs overlap. So we have 8 to 11-year-olds and 11 to 13-year-olds. For that 11-year-old age range, we recommend picking the program that's going to best fit what your student's looking for. If they're looking for more of academic exploration and learning a bunch of different things in a short amount of time, maybe you're going to err on the side of our explorers. However, if they are ready to dive in depth and work on a project and kind of get more academic intensity there, then you might be looking to go to our Discoverers program. And then with all programs and all ages, they do need to be meeting the essential functions of a Davidson Summer Programs participant, as listed below. This is also on our website. And so that includes being away and out of contact with family members for a duration of the program, sharing a room with 1 or 2 other participants. All of our participants will have roommates. We do ask that they can fall asleep without difficulty or minimal support. We ask that they can function on a schedule that allows only up to 9 hours of sleep per night. Of course, there's some wiggle room there, more or less. However, we average about 9 hours for these kiddos. And then follow direction from adults other than parents or caregivers, adults that they're unfamiliar with. And then be without access to electronic devices. We'll touch more on our electronic device policy. However, we do not have any cell phones, um, any access to like computers or things like that outside of the academic setting. We also ask that they can reach out to adults if problems or concerns arise, they feel comfortable doing that. And then overall operate independently under a supportive supervision with regard to self-care. So can they get up and do their morning routines? Can they do their evening routines? Can they pick out their meals with minimal self-care? Of course, our staff is always there to support them. However, we look that they have the ability to do those basic things with minimal guidance. So then the benefits of Davidson Summer Programs. Why should your student attend our programs? Well, we are very unique in the sense that all attendees are Davidson Young Scholars, and so they're meeting like-minded peers and they're going to be fully immersed in that environment. They get to explore new academic topics, which are typically taught by Davidson Academy instructors, and so they're getting that education from a professional who knows how to teach to this age group and this population, which is unique and super exciting for them. They grow those independence and skills. Being able to pick out your own food for the first time or decide what you're going to wear in the morning can be a unique opportunity for that 8 to 13-year-old age group, and something that they really develop and can walk away with a new skill set. They build some self-confidence walking into a room full of people that they might not know, and walking away with new friends is a wonderful opportunity to build self-confidence. They get to experience living on a university campus away from home. They stay in the dorms, they eat at the college dining hall, they walk around the college campus. It's a phenomenal experience and it's just a taste of that university life. And then overall, they're having fun. We really focus on the academics, but we also really focus on the fun aspect, and we make sure that they're singing and dancing and playing games and getting to do all those things that a traditional summer camp would include as well. Our staff. This is a lovely picture of our summer staff this year. They are often the highlight of our programs for our campers. They are typically college-age students from UNR. They are 24/7 available, always around. They are supervising daytime and nighttime. And we typically have about a 1-to-7 ratio for our staff, which means about 7 campers per 1 adult. And those are for our program assistants. Those are our kind of frontline working directly with your kids. And then we have our residential supervisors. They have a bit more responsibility. They're there overnight to answer any big questions that might pop up, provide additional hands-on support. We also have our health team. She is a registered nurse, and she is available 24/7, as well as our health assistant, who is also available around the clock for any health needs that might come up, whether that's medication management or any like scrapes or bruises that might pop up throughout the week. We also have our instructors, like I mentioned, they're Davidson Academy, typically Davidson Academy instructors, and they are there during classroom time. And then our full-time leadership, that's myself and Gabby and Scooby. We are always on site. We're always available as needed. And so we're there helping make sure everything is running smoothly alongside the team. We are also members of the American Camp Association. They have a whole host of resources and educational things that we refer back to. We're actually gearing up to go to their annual conference in San Diego this year. And so we're looking forward to learning more information and making sure we're up to date on policies and standards that come from them on how to run a summer camp, how to best care for your kiddos, and make sure that we are following all recommendations and guidelines on their end as well. So our schedule, probably the most exciting part of all of this, is what are the kids doing all day? On arrival day, you will travel to DSP and check in, and participants must be checked in and out by a parent or guardian or a designated adult over the age of 25. And so we do have a whole system set up where you can designate an adult over the age of 25 if you're not wanting to travel with your child. And that will happen post-application, post-acceptance during our springtime setup. The students will then say goodbye and they get to go up to their dorms. They get to meet their roommate, they get to meet their program assistant, and they get to help unpack, set up their bed, and all of that. And then we go straight into activities. We go into our orientation where they learn about our policies and rules to make sure that we're having a safe, fun week. And they get to go into large group games, icebreakers, team building, things like that, and really just getting to know one another as we dive into a really fast-paced, exciting week. It's great to kind of build that foundation of friendships right then and there. Days 2 through 4 look very similar to each other. We wake up around 8 a.m. is breakfast time, and then we go straight into our academic field trip. Those are still tentatively scheduled. We're working on finalizing everything as we move through this winter and spring, except we do like to share that typically we're looking at like a chemistry lab or an engineering lab on campus. Those are really exciting to get to see what the professionals in that field are doing. Animal Ark is an animal sanctuary nearby, and they often will bring their animals onto campus and do presentations for us, which is really cool. One year we had an owl and some lizards and snakes and other things like that, which is super exciting. The physics demonstration is always a fun one. The Keck Museum is our rock and mineral museum on campus. And then we are hopeful that this year for our older group, we are bringing back our Roller Kingdom experience. And so if you are a returner from previous years, you might remember that, and it is a hit, and so we're hopeful to bring it back this year. After our academic field trip, we head into lunchtime. By that point, students are typically very, very hungry because we just worked up a big appetite doing all the exciting things during our field trip. And then we go into dorm time. It's nice to take a little breather, relax for a little bit, maybe play some board games, read a book. We give everyone journals, they get to write in their journals, and then we move into academics. That's 3 hours of academic time. And then for our younger kids, they go into outside play or midday bunk meetings where they get to sit down and kind of discuss their experience with their group. And for our older kids, they will go into some homework time. And then from there, we head to dinner. After dinner, we do have our all camp meeting where we touch base on what the evening's going to look like before we head into our evening activities. And those are our fun social activities. We often do arts and crafts or board games, movie nights, we do water games, we do mock rock, which is kind of like a group talent show experience. We do a carnival, and then always have some big final night celebration for all age groups, which is something that our students usually look forward to. And the hype really builds throughout the week. And so by the time we get there, everyone's really excited for whatever that event's going to be. And then afterwards, we do a quick debrief, kind of calm down before we head back to the dorms, where we wrap up the evening with evening routines, maybe finish up that board game or that chapter we were reading in our book before it's lights out, and we wake up and do it all again the next day. And then day 5 is our departure. We have an earlier breakfast that day. It starts at 7 a.m. so that we can get all of our fun activities in for the day. And then we go into closing activities. For our younger group, that looks like a slideshow, signing thank you cards, t-shirt signing, just some last minute recreational fun with our new friends. For our older age group, we do all those things as well as doing our final presentations for your seminar course. And we'll touch base on what that means in just a few slides. However, that is a final academic wrap-up time for that older age group as well as some of the recreational activities. And then from about 9 to 10 a.m., it's packing, it's goodbyes, and then checkout starts at 10 a.m. and then you're off to carry on the rest of your summer after having hopefully an amazing experience with us. And then student life. So all students, like I mentioned, stay in the university dorms. We are very hopeful to be back in Argenta Hall this year, which is where we've been for quite a few years now, and it's a wonderful experience. It allows all students to have 2 roommates, which is fantastic. So they're in triple rooms, and they all get their own private bathroom per room, which is really nice. So there's no communal bathrooms for the whole floor. It's just for those 3 students sharing a room. Each student also gets a bed, a desk, and a dresser, and so they're able to have kind of their own space within that shared room. We do also provide linens, and so a sheet, a blanket, a pillowcase, and a pillow, all of that is provided as well. We do recommend, of course, bringing, a special blanket from home or something like that if that's extra comforting. We do definitely recommend bringing that. However, the basics are there and provided for your student. Also located on the dorm floor are private study rooms surrounding our larger common room, and that's typically where we're playing games. There's a quiet room we call the Zindan, and that's kind of in a more soundproof, isolated room. And you can see through it. It's like a glass room, but you can't really hear anything. So it's a really great opportunity. We have like coloring pages in there for students just to take a breather if they need to. And then, of course, our program assistants, our health team, and our full-time leadership staff room is sprinkled all throughout the floor. And so for every couple rooms that students are in, there will be an adult staying in a room nearby. So they're never just alone on the floor. And then dining, which arguably might be most students' favorite part of the summer because it is buffet style. It's all you can eat. It's 3 meals a day. We do also provide daily snacks throughout the day. And it's just a great opportunity for students to, like I said, build some of that independence and learn what they're really like, what types of food they like and how to pick healthy meals. We do encourage that throughout the program. They are also, as the university dining hall, very, very good at accommodating special diets or food allergies. They have multiple sections that are allergen free, they have gluten free, things like that. And then for students who are extra cautious about cross contamination, the staff and chefs there have been very helpful in accommodating that by preparing like prepackaged meals for students and being extra cautious there, which is fantastic. And then students are welcome to bring their own snacks. We do just ask if students are bringing anything with nuts or common allergens like that, that they wait to consume them until they've confirmed that their roommates don't have any nut allergies, and then they consume it in their room only, not in the common spaces. That is nut free to help protect um, the bulk of our population. And then, of course, the Wolf Shop, that is one of our field trips. That's the university bookstore. They do have a fun little convenience shop attached to it, and students will often get things like chips or a candy bar or some gum during our field trip there. So they'll have extra snacks that they got to purchase with spending money as well. And then academics. So like we mentioned, explorers ages 8 to 11 are exploration style workshops, and our discoverers ages 11 to 13 are project-based seminars. So what does that mean? Our academics are challenging and hands-on. They develop classroom skills that are unique to this type of learning. And then there are also teaching assistants and staff readily available to check in addition to the instructor. So our explorers exploration style workshops, those are sessions 1 and 2, and that is where students rotate through 3 different workshops throughout the week. So they go to one workshop each day, Monday through Wednesday. It's taught typically by a Davidson Academy instructor, and they're fun, engaging topics with hands-on experiences. We are still in the process of finalizing those workshops. However, typically we do offer STEM options as well as a humanities option. And so there's a little bit of something for everyone there. And even if it's maybe not your most favorite topic, it's a great opportunity to be introduced into something that you might not typically see in your day-to-day education. And so if you're maybe not someone who likes to do reading or writing, you're more on the math and science end. We typically see students walk away actually thoroughly enjoying the whole experience because they're so exciting and hands-on and designed for gifted learners, which is a wonderful thing to get to see kids expand their preferences. And then for discoverers, those are our sessions 3 and 4 kiddos. They are in seminars. And so when going through the application, there will be 3 different seminars listed, and they will rank them in order of preference 1 through 3. And it's a first come, first serve. And so we do recommend applying early, but we'll touch base on that a little bit later. They are taught by Davidson Academy instructors typically, and they will receive seminar evaluations. Those are not a grade per se. There's no report card or credit being given, but they're more so evaluations regarding the academic experience, the classroom experience, and just kind of touches base on the project that they worked on. And then students will be issued a Davidson laptop to use during seminar and homework time only. So those won't come back to the dorms with us. They'll be checked out and checked back in the educational setting. And they are a great opportunity for students to use technology to further their education in that sense. And then again, these are hands-on, fun, exciting, engaging topics. We are still finalizing those as well. Just like our younger kids, though, it is typically a mix of STEM and humanities options. And so you'll kind of get to pick your preference there. However, if you don't get your first choice, your second and third choice are still often very hands-on and engaging, and students have a great time, even if it's not their first preference. Health and mesh. So our health pre-programmed system involves an intake of different forms and records, which are then reviewed by our health supervisor. So that includes our health history form. We collect insurance cards. We do collect a physical exam within 2 years of your session start date. And then immunization records and medications that your student is taking. We get all that information and it's reviewed by our health supervisor, who, like I said, is a registered nurse. She looks through all of that to ensure that your student is going to be best set up for the summer, and if any questions pop up, she reaches out to learn more on how we can best support your student. Once you arrive at camp, we do a health screening during check-in. We take your temperature, kind of assess for any visible symptoms to make sure that nobody's coming to camp already sick, so we're not spreading germs. And then we also do our medication collection, with the exception of rescue medication. So if it's an inhaler or an EpiPen, we do ask that your student holds on to those so that they are readily available in the event of an emergency. However, all other medication we do collect to be stored behind a locked door in our nurse room so that they are being administered per prescription or bottle recommendation and instructions. It is important to note that all medication must be in their original containers with the original labeling, and it will only be given according to this physician or packaging instructions. And so if a medication is coming to us in one of those pill sorters or a sandwich baggie, unfortunately, we cannot accept that, and we would be unable to provide that medication to your student at that time. So we do ask that you keep that in mind when planning for the summer. And then on top of that, if that medication is not listed on that health history form that you filled out previously in the spring, we won't be able to check that in either. And so make sure that you're putting all that information on there so that we are able to provide your student with the medications that they need. And then, of course, our health team is on site daily, passing those medications out: breakfast, lunch, dinner, evening, morning meds, all of those good things. They're also there for bumps, bruises, scrapes that might pop up from playing outside or just daily life, things kind of pop up. And so they're there to help pass out band-aids, give any over-the-counter medications as needed. And then our program assistants are also all trained in first aid and CPR. So in the event that there needs to be any first aid, bloody noses can be kind of common, things like that, our team is ready to hop in and help out with your student. Mesh support, that is mental, emotional, and social health. During pre-program, we do collect a lot of information on our forms and documents to ensure that we are able to best support your participant this summer. This includes things like a diagnosis, such as ADHD, autism, anxiety, or a different learning disability of some kind. What typically do they see as accommodations in their academic or home environment? Is that something that we can provide at camp? And oftentimes it is. We just can't provide what we don't know about. And so the more information that you can provide us, the better. That way we can make sure that your kiddo is having a great time this summer. And then during the program, we love to partner with families to support your students. We often will call home for tips and tricks as we're navigating new behaviors as things pop up. However, at the end of the day, we do like to say that no news is good news. So if you're not hearing from us directly, that means your kiddo is having a blast and there is nothing of concern happening at camp. However, you may get a phone call from us, and it might be something small, just updating you on some behavior that we saw that we've already navigated, or asking for your advice or suggestions as we continue to work with them through our program. And then travel. So Davidson does not provide an airport shuttle or supervision service. We can't do any unaccompanied minor travel. And so we, for that reason, are asking that someone over the age of 25 is traveling with a student. Because participants also must be signed in and out by an adult or legal guardian, they are responsible for all that transportation to and from the program. Like I had mentioned, an alternate adult over the age of 25 can be designated. There's a form you'll fill out in the springtime providing us with that person's information so that we can ensure that they are the correct person picking up your kiddo and dropping them off. Check-in runs on Sundays, the first day of each program from 12 to 2, and then checkout is on the last day on Fridays from 10 to 11. We do like to note that we will only check campers out to the adult listed on the arrival and departure form, and we do require that we see a valid ID or passport to verify identity. So we don't want to be handing out kids to the wrong adults. We take that very seriously, of course, and so we like to make sure that we're checking those IDs and just something that we make sure all parents are prepared for so they don't have to run back to the car and grab their license when trying to check their kiddo out. And then communication at camp. Davidson is a fully connected community. Students cannot bring cell phones or other communication devices to DSP. We like to be fully connected in the present with the people around us. Davidson Academy staff will contact parents and guardians in the following cases. We will reach out with periodic updates via email about what we're doing on camp. We do send out daily newsletters. Those may arrive at varying times throughout the evening, but you just trust that they will be coming with a whole lot of detail on what we did that day. We will also reach out if your child needs any medical care. You may be hearing directly from the health team in that case, and that's if there's um, you know, any over-the-counter medication needed to be provided. If your kiddo has a fever or a cough, we're going to update you on that and let you know how we're treating that, and work with you to make sure that we're providing them the best care. And then we may also, like I said, reach out if we need your insight and or support for behavior management. And then, of course, if anything unexpected occurs, causing the program to have to redirect from the previous plan or schedule, we will let you know. So if like the AQI is not great, the air quality is not perfect, we will adjust in that sense. If there's like excessive heat that day, we might move some programs indoors. And so things like that, if we are running into those things, we'd be sure to reach out and update families so they know that we're taking proper precautions. And then how can you get yourself and your student ready for DSP? Help your participant prepare through a variety of ways. And the first one is making sure that your kiddo actually wants to attend. Do they express interest in attending? Were they included in the application process? Did they maybe look at our website ahead of time and see something that excited them? Practicing overnights away from the home, so sleepovers with friends or family, grandparents, aunts, uncles, things like that are a great opportunity to practice sleeping in an environment that you're not familiar with. If that's not an option, we've also seen families have a lot of success with maybe going camping or staying in a hotel, just somewhere that's not their bed, not the room that they typically sleep in. That's a great way to kind of get them familiar with that. We do suggest continuing to work on the essential functions at home, transitioning between activities in a timely manner, hygiene, making sure that they remember to brush their teeth in the morning on their own, making sure that they are able to do their whole nighttime routine and get into their pajamas on their own, and then making sure that they're able to get that sleep and fall asleep without too much support. Reviewing the website and the handbook together can create a lot of positive expectations for camp. When students know what they can look forward to, typically that helps ease a lot of anxiety and can only increase that excitement. And then sharing consistent positive messages about camp. This is super important when navigating students who might be missing home. If they know that as their adult, you're worried or anxious about camp, they're going to feel that and they're going to remember that. And so the more that you can tell them how excited you are for them and you can't wait to hear the exciting stories they have when they get home, the better that's going to be. And that's really going to help them hold on to that when they're at camp and maybe feeling like they're missing home a little bit. Show confidence in their abilities. If you're reminding them that you know that they can remember to brush their teeth and they're going to pick out the good food for their bodies, then that's going to be really helpful when they're maybe getting a little nervous. They're going to remember all the words that you said to them that helped boost that confidence. Include them in packing and preparing their things. A lot of parents like to just pack the suitcase for their kiddo, make sure they have everything they need, which is great. We definitely recommend that you're involved in that so that you can ensure that they're bringing, enough pairs of pants for the entire week. However, we do suggest that they are also involved in that. So if they know what they're looking at when they open their suitcase, that's going to make them feel a lot more comfortable. If they know that their favorite stuffed animal or their favorite sweatshirt is packed in their suitcase, that's going to make them feel a lot better, versus opening it up and not really knowing what's in there. And then for students in sessions 3 and 4, our discoverers, our 11 to 13-year-olds, practice good homework and group work habits. A lot of those projects can be group work or just projects that they need to have extra focus for. And so making sure that they're feeling prepared to go into that. We do really just want participants to have a positive experience. And so if we all partner together to help make sure that we're setting them up for a great experience before camp and also during camp, which is where we come in, then your student's going to do just great and have a wonderful experience this summer. And then parent resources. This will be linked in the chat, and it's also available on our website. And it just has a whole host of information and resources for parents to click into. It goes over a lot of the things that I've discussed, including health and medical, travel. Our packing list will be linked on there, as well as our handbook once those become available. Some resources on missing home and what that looks like, both for the parent and for the kiddos. It's sometimes called kid sickness. The thought of your kiddo leaving you for a week can be a little jolting as a parent, so there's some resources there for you as well. And then also talks about our policies involving supervision, communicable illness, electronic devices, and communication, things like that. And then our DMC parent communities, that's our Davidson member community. They will go live once our application closes, and those are communities for each session for parents to join. They will have additional information. It's a great way to kind of connect with families ahead of time, coordinate travel plans, carpool. We've even had families coordinate events that they like to do either before or after the session. We had a group who went mini golfing this last year after camp, which was super exciting. And so just opportunities to meet up, get together. A lot of parents will stay local to Reno during the week of their kids' camp. And so it's a great way for parents to connect as well when their kiddos are in our care. And then the 2026 application process. As I mentioned, applications from eligible students are reviewed in a first come, first served basis. And so we often do fill up very, very quickly. And so we recommend being ready to go with that application once it opens. Decision notifications will be sent out within 2 weeks of an application completion. So once you submit that application, you'll get an email back from us letting you know that it's been accepted. And then from there, you'll have about a 2 week wait until you receive your acceptance notification. And then from there, we will have our forms and documents that come in the spring. For more information on our application, here's just a brief overview, but we do have all of this shared on our website as well, and a link to that will be found in the chat as well. You're first going to want to confirm that your student is a YS. If they have at any point joined our Young Scholars program, been accepted into that, then they are still a Young Scholar. That doesn't expire at any point. And so if your kid was once a Young Scholar, they will always be a Young Scholar, so you are all set there. There is a separate application for our Young Scholars program and our summer programs. And so if you're not a Young Scholar yet, make sure you're submitting that application as soon as possible so that you are then eligible to apply to our summer programs. The last cycle for the Young Scholars application is February 6th, 2026, if you then want to be eligible to attend our summer program. So at the very latest, make sure you're getting that Young Scholars application in by February 6th. The application for summer programs will open on Monday, December 15th. The deadline is Friday, March 13th at the latest, but like we said, it's first come, first serve, so the earlier the better. We do typically fill up by that deadline and end up with a wait list. And so we do highly, highly recommend that you're applying in the earlier parts of the application opening. Like you said, do you have a student who might be 11 years old? They then get to choose from all 4 sessions. And so leaning towards the one that's going to best serve your student. And if you have any questions about which way you think your student should go, whether explorers or discoverers, please feel free to reach out to our team. We're more than happy to assist you in making that decision and kind of talking through what the differences are and what might work best for your student. Please note that an application is not considered complete until our team confirms the submission and sends an application notification via email. And so you will get a thank you for submitting your application email immediately. However, that is not the one that's noting it is complete. We do a full review to ensure that everything is filled out correctly, that the student response sections were in fact responded to and completed by a student. And then we will send you a completion email. Like we've said many times, placement is first come, first served. Those decisions are sent within 2 weeks of the application completion, and we have 63 spots for each session. And so once we fill that 63 spots, we will be creating a wait list. Movement happens. If you're on that wait list, you're not counted out. We do collect deposits. And so once the deposit's paid and we receive all of those for all 63 students, movement's less likely. However, every year we do see families having to withdraw even after paying their deposit. And so if you're on that wait list, don't count yourself out. It's very likely that you may still be able to receive a spot. And we do reach out as soon as those become available. And so if you're on that wait list, just know that we are keeping watch on all of that and we'll reach out as soon as possible once it becomes available. That being said, upon acceptance into DSP, you will have 24 hours to pay your student's deposit and secure your student spot in the program. Once you receive that acceptance email, you'll be able to go onto the portal and you'll have 24 hours to pay that. If we do not receive that within 24 hours, we will consider that a declination of your acceptance and we will move on to the next student on our wait list or in the review process. And so please make sure that you're keeping an eye out for that acceptance coming in. And as always, we will be reaching out with our summer program newsletter. Our Wednesday posts are coming out to our young scholars with more information about our application process when it opens. We'll be reaching out with forms and documents and a whole lot of information about camp once you're accepted. However, if you have any questions in the meantime, please feel free to give us a call or send us an email. And then if you are not a young scholar yet and you are looking for answers to specific questions regarding the Young Scholars application, please email ysapplications@davidsongifted.org directly, as they're going to be the ones who can best help you through that process. However, any summer questions, please feel free to send them our way to summer@davidsongifted.org. And now we'll go ahead and open up the Q&A and answer some of those questions. And so if you have any questions, please go ahead and put those in the Q&A now. Let's see. As far as independence goes, are there any accommodations for neurodivergent kids who have some but not all of the criteria due to asynchronous development? That is a phenomenal question. So we do work with twice exceptional students, neurodivergent students. That is something that we pride ourselves on, being able to offer programs for those kiddos. We do provide a whole host of accommodations when it does come down to our basic functions like self-care, being able to brush your own teeth, pick out your own clothes. We can't necessarily do that for kiddos, but we do provide reminders. We've worked with students with providing timers or check-ins, things like that. Checklists can work really well. And so there are a lot of avenues for supporting neurodivergent students. That being said, if your kiddo falls in that category and you have specific questions or accommodations that you're concerned about, please feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to work with you directly to make sure that we are able to support your student. We would hate to end up in a situation where they attend and we're not able to provide those supports. And so if you're curious about something, please share that. More information, the better. That way we can make sure that we're providing and prepared to provide whatever it may be that your student needs. What is cost per week per camper? That's a great question. We are still finalizing that. However, we last year for 2025, it was $1,475. We do anticipate that this year it'll be pretty comparable. So right around that $1,500 mark is going to be the cost for tuition. So that includes your deposit, your tuition, that includes those linens, it includes all field trips, activities. The only things that it doesn't include are transportation to and from the program, as well as any spending money that you might want to send with your kiddo. For ages 8 to 11, what are the two sessions or those different areas of focus for each camp, like math, arts, reading, and science? That's a great question. So for our explorers, ages 8 to 11, the two sessions are almost identical. They're going to have the same academic workshops. They're going to have the same field trips. They're going to have the same social activities. They are essentially repeats of the same program so that we can serve a larger amount of our population. So really, we recommend that families choose whichever session works best with their scheduling. And so if your kiddo is maybe in school a little later, their academic year goes a little later, session two might be a better option for you. Maybe if you have a family vacation or something planned in the summer in late June, maybe session one's going to be a better option. But based on those two sessions, they are very comparable. And the same goes for our Explorer sessions. For our 11 to 13-year-old sessions, 3 and 4 are going to be very, very similar to each other. And there's no difference in terms of the content or the experience the child is going to be having. It's purely just based on dates. So go ahead and choose whichever one works best for your family. What is your discipline policy? Will you dismiss a student if they get a bit physical, like pushing others, or a meltdown like screaming due to sensory overload? That's a great question, and of course, it is going to all be kind of on a case-by-case basis. Of course, we do not tolerate excessive bullying. We don't tolerate students putting others in like physical danger or injuring others intentionally, things like that. However, as we do work with twice exceptional neurodivergent students, we recognize that things like meltdowns or sensory overload can happen and are fairly common. And so students are not punished for having different sensory needs. They're not punished for being twice exceptional. And so we don't typically dismiss students. We work very closely with our different resources and with parents to ensure that we are navigating the situation the best we can, that we are ensuring that it's still a good fit. If we do run into a situation where it's just no longer a good fit, we're working directly with parents to ensure that it's an easy transition back out of the program. We don't like to just dismiss kids without giving it all we've got to make sure that they can successfully see through the program. And so, if we're running into a situation where it's no longer a good fit, we're working closely with parents to before we get to that point. Um, In worst case scenarios, does it happen that a camper needs to be picked up from the camp on day 1 or 2 because they aren't able to stay? So similar kind of response to the previous question. In worst case scenarios, if a kiddo does need to be picked up, we do have a 24-hour pickup policy, and so um, that is from the time of notification, 24 hours, and that could be due to medical needs. It could be due to behavior or maybe it's a family emergency on your end and you need to pick your student up. We are, like I said, always available and always in contact. And so if we are experiencing things like that, we are reaching out to parents and working with you to make sure that it's as smooth of a transition as possible. Um, let's see. We are considering Davidson online or school for the future. Is summer camp a good introduction to the other offering? Are they closely related? That's a great question. They do differ in that summer camp is definitely academic based. However, it is much more social and exciting and fun. That being said, the academic portion does share some of the rigor that you may experience in the Davidson Academy Online or Davidson Academy in Reno. It's a great opportunity to see the school, to interact with some of the instructors. Um, and we have a lot of families who do go from one to the other. So if they're a Davidson Academy family already, they often will come to our summer programs to continue that into the summer. And if they are attending our summer programs, there is a pretty solid pipeline to our programs for schooling as well. So it is a great chance to kind of get your feet wet and see if it's an environment that your student's going to thrive in. Let's see. What is the best way to show my son what camp will be like to see if he'd be interested in attending? Is there a video or a slideshow from previous years? That is a great question. And so we do this presentation will be posted on our website and on the Davidson member community, so you can go ahead and rewatch that. We do highly recommend looking at our website and photos. We've even had families look at like the UNR website to get a taste of what like the dining hall offers. To see pictures of the campus and the dorms. That's a really great opportunity for them to get excited in that sense. And then throughout our website, we do have a whole lot of pictures of previous experiences and things like that. And so they're welcome to review those as well. Any other questions? Go ahead and throw those into our chat. We'll have just a few more minutes before we wrap up, and so if any questions pop up, please feel free to let us know. Otherwise, you are welcome to send us an email or give us a call. All of that information is available on our website, and like I mentioned, this will also be available on our website, this presentation. And so if you want to go back and look at that, please do so. Let's see. For Davidson Academy, what are the requirements? That is a great question. I do work directly with our summer programs department, and so we are a little bit separate from the Davidson Academy. If you are looking to attend the school for the school year, I recommend reaching out to the Davidson Academy directly. They're going to be able to provide you a lot more information about the assessment and the process that goes into that. Alrighty, well, if we don't have any other questions, I'll go ahead and pass it back to Arlene for us to wrap up.
Awesome. Thank you everyone for joining us, and thank you Avery for answering everyone's questions and sharing this information about the Davidson Summer Programs. Before we end this session, Avery, do you have any closing statements for your audience?
We just hope to see everyone's application when it opens on December 15th. We look forward to seeing all your applications and hopefully seeing all your faces at camp this summer.
Awesome. Thank you again, everyone, for joining us. Please remember to complete the survey after the session closes. If you would like to view this session again, the recording will be posted on the Davidson Gifted website. And for the Davidson Young Scholar families, you can find the recording in DMC. Thank you, everyone. We hope you have a great rest of your evening. Bye.